Who are the 5 most interesting real estate developers in the UAE today? That's the subject of today's edition of Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence and I'm joined here in the studio by Oscar Rousseau, Deputy Editor of Construction Week.
Hi.
Hi, Oscar. So thanks for going through our list. Arabian Business has 40 real estate developers, the top real estate developers in the UAE. We couldn't go through all of them, so we thought we'd bring you in to choose your 5 most interesting ones for whatever reason that are in action today. So let's go through this list that you've very painstakingly put together. We've got Arada comes in first in alphabetical order.
Yeah, it's difficult to pick 5, Jeremy, that really stand out because there are so many across the industry that are doing really interesting work. Now, Arada, of course, is developing a 2.2 kilometers squared mixed-use urban district called Al Jada. This is going to be the biggest real estate development in Sharjah to date. The master plan mega project is valued at around $6.5 billion and it will be home to more than 70,000 people upon completion. Now, construction work started in July. Modern building contracting company won the first contract, which was around $27 million. And Arada has hinted to Construction Week that there's more construction contracts to come moving forward. So that's an exciting project because of the scale of the project. It's the biggest one in Sharjah.
And is it because we've seen affordable, because these are affordable homes we're talking about, but before we've seen affordable homes but perhaps haven't been well thought out communities, whereas this is the first time you've got a really well thought out master developer with all the community facilities that you would expect, but at a very affordable price.
Absolutely, and they spoke about making Al Jada one of the go-to destinations in Sharjah, creating a real estate environment that's exciting for people, and also it's going to have all of the amenities you would expect from these integrated communities. It will have mosques, it will have schools, it will have cafes and shops, and it's all going to be incredibly accessible. So it's an exciting development for Sharjah.
Great, okay. Number 2, we've got Azizi. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's hard when you're looking at some of the new faces, it's hard to ignore the ascendancy of Mirwais Azizi and his eponymously named Azizi Developments Group. One of the major projects that really stands out for us is the 3.2 billion Azizi Riviera. Now, this is a waterfront development community.
Is that at Meydan?
It's in Meydan 1, in Dubai. And it's going to be developed in 4 phases, I believe. Phases 1 and 2 are set for a handover in Q1 or Q2 2019. So it's going to be really crucial for Azizi Developments, Jeremy, because we've not seen many handovers yet. So once 2019 kicks in, we'll start to see how their projects actually are. We'll get people walking around them and you'll see the quality, you'll see the scale of the projects, and you'll see what Azizi Developments is really about. So that's exciting, and it's a big year for them, I think.
Right, because Azizi, of course, they've been going since before the real estate crash 10 years ago or more. They were down, they came back, and as you said, they've got a lot to prove because they've got these big flagship projects they're now working on, and we're really waiting to see if they deliver on their promises.
Yeah, exactly. And moving away, they're developing communities as well, but they've also announced a plan to build one of the largest skyscrapers in Dubai. So you're right, they were there before the recession, they're back, and they're building lots of projects across a range of different communities in Dubai. So yeah, good
see
stuff.
What happens. Let's see what happens. Of course, we couldn't do this list without including Emaar. Mohammed Alabar, not content with building the world's tallest tower, one of the world's biggest shopping malls, and of course the iconic downtown project, is building something even bigger now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so he's actually building 2 projects that are even bigger now. Both of them are based at Dubai Creek Harbour, which is a 6 kilometer squared waterfront development located near Ras Al Khor Wildlife Sanctuary. Now, projects within the master plan include the 1 billion Creek Harbour Tower, which is being developed between a joint venture between Emaar and Dubai Holdings. Now, that same JV, Jeremy, is developing the tech-driven Dubai Square Mall, which is set to become the biggest mall in the world. So what you've got them building the biggest tower in the world again, building the biggest mall in the world again, and that shows remarkable faith in the property market.
So let's assume that Mohammed Alabar is smarter than we are and he's privy to a lot more information. This shows, with the scale of the projects he's working on now, how big the ambition is to grow Dubai. And I find it very interesting and not coincidental that he's also building the Middle East's biggest Chinatown at that development. He's obviously looking at places like India and places where China, where you've got this huge rise in the middle class, and he's planning now for it. So a very interesting one to have on the list. Just finally talking of Emaar, they're partnering as well, aren't they, with Aldar?
Yeah, of course, and Aldar, of course, are a a really exciting developer. They announced a joint venture, I believe, in the second quarter of this year, where you're going to see Emaar and Aldar work on projects both in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. We're still waiting for a lot of kind of the news about both of those developers and about those projects, but it's certainly something to look at the market moving forward. It maybe suggests growing consolidation among developers, and what does that mean moving forward? I mean, certainly tapping into the collaboration and tapping into the expertise of both of those developers will be interesting moving forwards.
Yeah. And of course, not the same scale as Emaar, but Imkan you had down as one of the more interesting developers to watch.
Yeah, I think Walid Al-Hindi, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Imkan, is doing really, really interesting work. Construction Week met him at Abu Dhabi Cityscape earlier this year, and they're a new kid on the block, Jeremy. The Abu Dhabi-based developer wants to create soulful places that enrich lives, and it's got 26 projects in its portfolio at the moment. These include the £554 million Makers District in Abu Dhabi. Now that's set for completion in 2020. Alongside that, we don't believe Imkan has got any projects that are completed to date, but there are many that have noted kind of key construction progress moving forwards. Among those is the luxury beachside villa community called Nudra on Saadiyat Island, I believe. There's also the Sheikha Fatima Park as well, which is a new urban park covering 46,000 square meters, which is going to be kind of transformative in Abu Dhabi. And what's interesting about Imkan is they seem to be talking about changing the mindset of real estate and creating very livable places. And while it's fine to say that, the proof will be in the pudding to see what happens when they start delivering these projects.
Okay, but the plans look good.
The plans look really good at the moment.
Great. Talking of livable projects, which have got a bit of an exciting twist, Majid Al Futtaim, this was one of the ones I was keen to pick out. They launched their first big master plan development this year, and tell us about that one because that's pretty interesting.
So yeah, how can you ignore that one? And it was a really good picture when you picked it out. So the developer's flagship $3.8 billion community near Dubai Sports City is called Talal Al Gaf. Now this multi-phase project is going to be built over a decade, and I think the final completion is set for 2027. It's going to have 6,500 apartments, townhouses, villas, all the good stuff you would expect from a very high-end mixed-use community. But what I think really makes it stand out is a 70,000 meter squared crystalline lagoon, which is developed and kind of created by a Chile-based organisation called Crystal Lagoons. Now, what's interesting about this is that you see a lot of developers in Dubai and the UAE, across the board, building waterfront communities.
Yeah.
But Crystal Lagoons creates a lagoon that's actually swimmable. We spoke about it before we came on today. We spoke about the ability to have kayaking lessons on these lagoons, to go swimming in the lagoons. It's going to completely change the landscape of waterfront communities, potentially.
And didn't they say that it uses half the amount of water that a park would? So it's actually very environmentally friendly. They're using groundwater, very advanced cleaning methods to treat the water. It's
got an incredibly advanced and good track record when it comes to kind of environmental criteria as well. Some of them include, I think it uses 100 times fewer chemicals than a traditional swimming pool would, about 98% less energy than a regular filtration system. So as well as having a lagoon that's swimmable and you've got areas of amenities, it's incredibly sustainable as well. So it's something that has the potential to really shake up the market, and we've seen not just Majid Al Futtaim looking to tap into the crystalline lagoons. We're going to have another one built in the Maidan 1 development as well. Crystal Lagoons has also got the biggest worldwide lagoon in the world, which is in Egypt at the moment, so lots of exciting stuff there.
Wow. And if we were to summarise this list, I guess you would say that we're seeing lots of different types of developments, a lot more diversity than we perhaps saw 5 years ago. Perhaps because the market is a lot tighter now, developers have to do more to stand out. Is that what you'd agree with?
I would say that's definitely true, and I would also say it's reflective of the kind of socio-economic change in the UAE as a whole. We've seen different markets emerging, and with different markets emerging and different demands emerging, developers are meeting those demands by developing projects that are different, that are new, that kind of go above and beyond to make them stand out. So it's really exciting. Certainly you look at Emaar as well, building bigger and better than ever before as well, looking to tap into that Chinese market as well. That's going to be really exciting moving forwards.
Great. Okay, Oscar Rousseau, Construction Week Deputy Editor. Thank you for joining us in the studio. You've been watching Inside AB. Please do subscribe, comment, share as usual. We're on air every weekday morning at 10 a.m. We'll see you next time.